All right, what's going on, everybody? So I put out a video yesterday about healing, and it explained how my son, who used to have epilepsy, no longer has epilepsy, which was a very cool video because I started making it when I was in Ottawa, going to his appointment with no intention of knowing that he no longer has epilepsy. I didn't even think we were gonna get test results or not. Well, my wife told me at 10:30 they had a consultation with the doctor, so I knew maybe it was possible, but I never thought it would happen. I realized it was just Mercury Day, and that's probably why. And then it turns out he no longer has epilepsy. So fucking awesome. And then I gave a bunch of ways of things I did. So it's not like I just did one simple spell. I did a multitude of things. And, you know, you can say, well, fuck, that doesn't help. I want the one single spell that does it. It's like, well, it's not one single spell that does it. It's a multitude of things. And if you really want to heal somebody, why not do them all? As stupid and ridiculous or as elaborate, as complicated as something might be, do it if you really care about it. Fuck, like. And which brings me to this next point. So my podcast went down. I recorded a part to go a little bit further into the salt and water thing and give a few more examples, like people used to make their salt last, or their meat last longer by putting it in salt and water, using salt to as the first kind of preservative, natural preservative, versus the unnatural ways we preserve food now. All that food in the middle of the grocery store that's not in the frozen or in the fridge, you should leave the fuck there. But anyways, and then using I had my tongue pierced when I was a teenager. I had to use salt and water to keep the infection away. And if you have a throat infection, the doctor also advises to do that, or at least they used to whenever I had my last throat infection. From everything from that to I drew on the double slit program, where everything has its own consciousness when you're not watching it, and our consciousness has something to do with the atoms of everything that has a consciousness. And I kind of used that to go back to the why I added salt to the urine of my children and myself when I don't feel so well, because as without, so within. Something that comes from your body, even though it's no longer with your body, there's still an attachment there, and especially if you believe that. So you can use salt to banish the sickness, illness, disease, viruses, and illness, disease, sickness, infection from your body by doing that to your urine. But then today, I'm getting ready to put that video on as my podcast, and so that I put that at the end of my podcast, and then like an idiot, I swiped up on the podcast, on the mobile podcast that was going live with my recorded material, and I was fucking mad. I was pissed off. So there was like, I think 14 or 15 minutes left of the recording to play, and then I was going to go into an older video that I didn't play on my podcast yet. So I had to remake a new episode and whatever else, and I had to fix that. Not a big deal. But because prior to all this, I watched 9 to 10 minutes of Thunder Wizard's newest video. So being in a state of a little bit of anger and a little upset and a little frustrated, I used Thunder Wizard's new video, what he was about to talk about. I didn't watch the whole thing, but I expanded on that because he started off by saying, I'll play it for you in a second here, but the first maybe 2 minutes he's bang on with everything he says. I'm like, okay, this might be a good video. But he's talking about 4 different types of magic, and then he gets into why Western magic, Christianity, and chaos magic is, he says, don't get me wrong, I've seen it work, but the little bit I read about chaos magic, it's too intellectual, and it's more work. It's like driving a big truck in this little slalom when you can ride this little bike through it. And that got to me. That really got to me. The smoking things he says after that, obviously, I know I need to quit. Fuck, I'm not an idiot. So, it's not him going against my tradition that I'm against here. And like I said, I'm going to play my two little rants that I made within my video for you guys, within my podcast for you here. Because I always put my my videos from YouTube on my podcast. Well, if I add extra stuff on my podcast, I should put them on video as well. So first things first, I will play my first part here for you that I started saying to Thunder Wizard, and then I will play the Thunder Wizards thing, and then maybe I'll play my last part, and then I'll play something that'll just make his theory out of the water. So before I continue to talk about what Thunder Wizard said, let's hear it directly from his mouth, okay? And once again, I didn't listen to the whole 2-hour thing, and I came to the conclusion that I'm no longer going to watch The Thunder Wizard for many reasons. One being, I don't want to make my channel and make videos around what somebody else is doing wrong, because that's what I talk about, which is wrong with our society. And I think we are the counterculture. Anyways, I'll let myself tell you that right after the Thunder Wizard thing first.
Hello YouTube, this is Mahadeva, the OG Thunder Wizard. And so today I want to talk to you about magic. And I'm going to talk to you about 4 arbitrary types of magic that I'm going to bring to your attention. Because the truth is that we live inside of a magical 3-dimensional sphere. And everything that is happening to you is magical. It's your illusion that it's not. You are the one that makes the decision what is magic and what isn't. The truth of the matter is that absolutely everything that you could point at is magical. Even your misery. If you are deeply in misery, guess who created it? In fact, it's amazing to me. I think of some people that I have known in my life, I've known their whole lives, and actually how hard they work to be miserable. Now, of course, they don't see it that way. They don't realize that's what they're doing. But I look at it and I see somebody who, if they put 10% of the amount of effort that they put into being miserable or sick or poor or unhappy or whatever it is, they just put 10% of that into having a good life, they rule the world. So everything is magical. There's a really strange looking creature flying by my window. That's magical. The fact that I'm able to make a bunch of noises that fall out of my face and that go electronically through this thing, this tiny little thing, that I call a laptop, and it somehow gets to you live and you get to watch and listen to it. That in itself is magical. The whole thing is magical. So I'd like for you to think about that. Anyway, I've been thinking about magic lately, and I got a question on the channel. I love getting questions on the YouTube channel as well as the live Q&As here. And so I'm just going to read this question. I'm not going to read the whole thing, at least I don't think I am. But this person brings up some good questions. First, this person says, "Thank you so much for the Hool breath technique. I find that it helps me to sit and meditate for longer and has cleared my chest." And she says, "Smoking has taken its toll." So let me just start off with just what could be an obvious thing. We in the West, in Western society, we look at everything from our intellect. And that's because starting 2,000 years ago, we were introduced with this false religion that was all about what you think. In order to be a Christian, you have to intellectually accept this idea that there was this guy named Jesus who was God, and he was sacrificed on the cross for your sins and died and resurrected 3 days later. And the way you get entry into that deity and into his heaven and into the religion is by intellectually believing it. That's it. And so we look at everything intellectually, even magic. So one of my biggest beefs with modern Western magic isn't that it doesn't work, because I've seen some of it that actually does work, but it's just so intellectual. And trying to do a big Western magical ritual as opposed to some of the other stuff I've done in other traditions is like trying to drive an 18-wheeler, in a tiny slalom course when you could be driving, an electric motorcycle through it. And so the first thing I want to say is, let's just get out of our heads. It's not what you think. Chaos magic is like that. Chaos magic says that, and I only know what little I've read of it, but chaos magic, as I understand it, says that everything is arbitrary. And if I decide that these earbuds are a magical item, then I'm going to load it with my arbitrary intention, and then, numbers, you can make, symbols, and you load those symbols. So it's all this intellectual, arbitrary, even the word chaos. Nothing really has any order. It doesn't come from anywhere. There's no laws that you follow. You make it up as you go. This is very Western. Of course, Westerners would come up with chaos magic. It's intellectual effort to manifest your reality. And so instead of looking at reality as this illusion, as this thing that doesn't exist, I want you to think of it instead as this magical, fantastical, realm. Because it is. Now, I'm lucky. I live somewhere where I can, it feels like that to me because I'm surrounded by rainforest and crazy, funky sounding creatures and, all kinds of stuff like that. So it's easy for me to get into that vibe. Might not be easy for you where you live. But even if you look outside the window and you see nothing but big buildings everywhere, think about that. That, for our ancestors, 2,000 years ago, would have been a crazy, magical, weird thing. So we're already living in a magical place. And I don't want you to think that magic is anything other than what you are. Even the fact that your body exists. Before I go any further, let me share with you something you may or may not know. This again goes back to, this person who talked about it, cleared up her smoking. I don't know if she still smokes or if she's quit. I don't know even if it's a he or a she. I don't know if this person has quit smoking, but I would strongly recommend, if anybody here wants to be powerful, forget about being healthy. That's an obvious one. You got to drop all the garbage. Smoking, I don't recommend. In alcohol, I don't recommend any kind of mind-altering chemicals. I don't even do caffeine. I don't do any of that stuff because main thing is it gets between me and my fix. And my fix is energy, life force energy. And if you have a technology that allows you to connect to that, then you don't want anything to get in the way of it. So your body, your human body, is not something you want to separate yourself from in order to experience magic. Your human body is the capacitor. It is the amazing technological tool that you can use. You've got all of these things that do absolutely amazing things. And one is you've got the 5 organs. You've got your heart, you've got your liver, you've got your kidneys, you've got your stomach, you've got, did I say lungs? I don't know. You got the 5 major organs there. And these organs obviously are the most important things in terms of your body. One of those goes out, you're dead, it's over, forget about it. But beyond the physical actions that they take, they also are access points to the 5 elements in the cosmos. And when you start to awaken the 5 organs through using the 5 elements, then you start to be able to tap into doing all kinds of crazy things. Then you've got these 3 centers in your body that you can use to purify life force energy. And the life force energy takes on different qualities, starting at the very base level of just life force energy. And there's sexual energy. This is why so many people, if you want to be powerful, you have to be celibate. There's the sexual energy, and then there's the life force energy, just base life force energy. And that can be translated into emotional mind, not this mind, emotional mind energy. And then that can be translated to an even higher realm of intention. Again, intention is not thinking something hard, it's just intending something. I want you to try and get out of the Western mindset, because you probably didn't understand, you might have not understood, why would I call this the mind? Mind is here. This is where the mind lives. And the mind is not your intellect, because as a Westerner, you think your intellect is your mind, and it's not. The intellect is nothing more than a computer.
All right, so I was kind of listening along, and I couldn't even finish it again. The earbud thing he starts talking about, and the symbols and all that. The symbols and the letters and the numbers, turning them into it. That's making a sigil, and you are turning your intention into a symbol, because your subconscious mind understands symbolism. Now, we spent a lot of years developing our brain and getting smarter and smarter to have the consciousness we have today. We would be stupid to not use our older traditions, add our conscious intelligence to it, to make better things for better ways and faster ways to get it into our subconscious mind. Now, everything has a consciousness, and I've even heard him say that as well on his channel. So he's saying he can add his arbitrary consciousness into, or intention into, these earbuds. But we do that from everything from healing magic to affecting the consciousness in your own atoms to charging your athame, your wand, whatever. Because like I said, or like I'm going to say, book, you can take a book, cleanse it, consecrate it, and then charge it. And the consecrating, you're giving it a new job. So this used to be a book, a notebook for to write whatever you want, journal, doesn't matter. But you are specifically setting the intention and charging this with energy that we can't see but we know is there, that this book's new job and only job is to, what you write in it will manifest in your reality, and this shit works. And I don't know about chaos magic per se, but I'm pretty sure they follow something to the effect of the 7 hermetic principles. So he's wrong there again, saying Western magic or chaos magic doesn't have any laws they go by. 7 hermetic principles is the laws we use. Your magic has to fall within those 7 hermetic principles. Even using the Star Trek deities as gods follows those rules. So it's completely wrong. But anyways, I'll get into what I said about this. I'll play both parts, and then I'm going to show you, once again, I played this in my last video, but it's such a good testimonial of what a simple sigil can do that it just blows the statement out of the fucking water. You can cure cancer with sigils. You can do anything with a sigil. That's chaos magic. So, fuck him. Alright, so, hey everybody, my bad. I'm not trying to do these 2-parters anymore. It's not on purpose that I'm doing these double episodes, part 1s and part 2s. It's straight up stupidity and accidental bullshit. Mail comes in and trying to figure things out, do the dishes while I'm playing my podcasts and stupid things I do, and Wi-Fi errors and whatever else. So I'm going to get back, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to start up exactly where it was, but I think there was 13 minutes left of what I had to say, and then it's the freighter's testimonial from someone who used a sigil to cure her grandfather's liver cancer. Now, this is something I'm going to probably make a video about on YouTube, so I'll just say it shortly here. I got nothing against the Thunder Wizard, and I've learned lots from him, and I've never went against the system and talked about shamanism and say it doesn't work or anything like that, because I don't believe in bashing other people's systems. Now, I think anybody who is out here trying to teach and say what they're doing, especially if they have bad experiences with, let's say, Judaism, Christianity, or anything like that, they may have told people that they have to remove that programming from themselves to perform successful magic, and maybe they get into rants on what's bad about specific religions and what not. And I'm definitely guilty of doing that such thing as well. But I think I'm going to be done listening to the Thunder Wizard for a while, because I put on his newest episode, which was, I don't know how many hours ago now, but it was today or last night. And he was going through 4 different types of magics, and he's bashing on Western magic, which he says he doesn't know much about. And then he starts on to chaos magic, and he starts saying how you turn your statement into with the letters and the symbols, and he's talking about how it's too intellectualized, and this is Christianity's fault, and doesn't have to be that complicated, and this and that. And, I can go into multiple ways on how he's wrong about that, and how using his own videos to talk about why he's making more paradoxes, because he tells people that the ego is a good thing, and we have a conscious mind for a reason, and we have to use our conscious mind, and we have to take action. Yet in this video he's saying the opposite, that they're too intellectualized thinking, and that's not how you perform this stuff, and it's more work than it's necessary. But you're about to listen to a girl who used the Archangel Raphael's sigil and looked at it, I don't know how many times, maybe once or twice, had complete faith, let it go, and removed 3 out of the 4 tumors from her grandfather. Now, that doesn't seem that fucking complicated. I mean, if anything, it's very simple. It's one of the most simplest forms of magic. And it's not necessarily intellectualizing anything, because you consciously come up with the intention you want. Even if that intention is not something you should be going for, whatever the case is, which will provoke. If it's something you shouldn't have and you don't put enough energy into it, or whatever the case, you're going to learn a lesson from it no matter what. So it's still going to lead you to your path ultimately in the end, by even asking for something you don't need. But you're actually using an artistic form. So you're taking these things, and the sigil process is a creative process, which is nothing intellectual about the creative process. People that are very artistic, that make pictures, are not intellectually making their pictures. That's not what happens. So you take your letters and you get rid of the vowels if that's the way you decide to do it, and you get rid of the double consonants if that's the way you decide to do it, and then you either put it up in your house for your subconscious mind to see it all the time, and other people to see it, to give it energy, so that it gets created on the astral plane, and then it comes down here. Is one way to look at it. Or just by repetition of you seeing that thing every day for 21 days over and over, like a fucking affirmation, it gets into your mind, and then it plays out into your world once it's been created somewhere else. Another way of looking at it. There's nothing intellectual about that. Grant Morrison has this thing on stage where he talks about sigil magic is the simplest thing you can do. I am grateful for receiving the sum of $5,000. And you turn that into a symbol, then you can place it in your room where if you're going to have sex or masturbate, you look at it right at the point of orgasm, and it goes right in your mind. Or you can use the pain route, and you could also leave it up, and then you burn it from this existence, so it's no longer in this plane. And assuming you created enough energy in the astral where it now exists simultaneously, then nature will make that come down here into this realm. And that's one of the simplest ways of doing magic. So he starts going off about how it's intellectual and you don't need it. And, he even said there's Odin. It has aspects to Mercury, but he isn't Mercury, but he's the intellectual mind, the conscious mind. But yeah, he's saying the conscious mind. So I don't want to bash the Thunder Wizard, and I never, even whenever I was against him and all out proved him wrong and showed why he's wrong and used examples, because everything I say I can back up. So if I tell you that, I think earlier on in this, I said you can go back in your memories and you can change what happened. So if you were being abused as a child, or you abused somebody, you were a bully at school, you can go back in your memories and you can go there and every day for 21 days at the minimum, more would be preferable, pretend that you never did those bad things to that person. Well, something will start to happen. And you can say, oh, that's not true, blah, blah, blah. But this is a process that psychiatrists, psychologists will make you do when you're on the fucking couch. They will make you go back into your memories where the trauma is, and they will make you change the outcome that happened. And by doing that, it changes your feelings upon yourself. Even if the person that harmed you is dead and gone, or you harmed is dead and gone, this will change the outcome. Does it actually change reality? Does it actually change what you did in the past? No, but it helps you be able to get to a place to forgive. And I'm not completely convinced that it doesn't change reality, because the reality that is deep embedded in your subconscious is what's playing out in your life. So if you change the past things you've done within your mind, well, then you change your future within your mind, which changes the reality that you are going to make out for you. So everything I say, I can fucking back up. But he talks in circles, and I'm not trying to bash him, but You know, he even goes on record and says he used to be a Christian, walking around saying, do you know the good news and all that? And we all know that Christianity will go around saying magic is of the devil, shamanism is of the devil, all witchcraft is of the devil, Judaism is wrong because they only use the Old Testament and they don't believe in Jesus. Islam is wrong because, yeah, they use the same book as us, but they use different names. They call demons jinn or genies being plural, jinn being singular. And, you know, they have Sharia law, which there's a type of Sharia law in the Bible that Christians use, and it's either the same or worse. Point is, he's going around doing the same thing. So instead of talking about his tradition and why his tradition is good and telling you why you should pick his tradition, he wants you to believe that all the other magics that you can do within yourself for free or from other people aren't going to work. This is why, and this is why his is good. So this video, and not all his videos, and I've seen him be very humble and really seem like he's trying to help people. But I don't think I can watch it anymore because more and more I get the feeling that he's just trying to make people that watch him think that if they're doing some type of magic that isn't of his system, that they're fucking wrong and his is the only fucking right way. And I don't know, and I've never done his traditions, but I know he preaches action above all things and different breath exercises and whatever. So he's telling you that to make a sigil is too complicated, which is the simplest thing in the world. Depending on how often you do it, it takes no more than 2 fucking minutes. But he's got a whole practice that you have to pay and go watch him, and you got to do a morning exercise, afternoon exercise, and a nighttime exercise, plus all these other exercises. But that's not more complicated than simply making a sigil to get in the subconscious mind and start changing reality. Or reading a book and following the curriculum within your house, which means you got more time, you don't have to watch his videos, pay for his videos, plus do the exercises on top of it. So his logic makes no sense, and I don't like bashing him, and I'm not trashing his system because I think that's a problem. I make videos for anybody within any magical system because I think the ideas I talk about are universal. Whether you're doing a type of witchcraft, a type of hoodoo, whether you're a Luciferian, whether you're a shaman, whether you're just a simply New Ager or a Christian trying to pray in a new way, you can use the concepts on here that I give out to impress on your subconscious mind. Where somebody like him goes out there and says, all these fuckers are wrong and I have the right fucking way. And there's something deeply wrong with that line of fucking thought. Now, you can learn from him, and I believe he does have something to offer, but I don't think listening to those videos are going to help your magic in any way. If anything, he's going to get in your mind and make you think you can't manifest your reality unless you follow his shit, which means he gets more money in the end. And I don't think that's why he's doing it. I don't think he's conscious of why he's doing that, but nonetheless. And like I said, I've bashed him. I've projected onto him my own problems. I've done all that in the past, and he's helped me see some of those issues within myself. But at the same time, by him going out there and making fun of every other system, saying why those are wrong, and instead of saying why his system is right or why it works, and just, you know, uplifting his own system and tradition. And he doesn't want to do that because he wants you to pay to learn his tradition. And I get that. But to come out there and just shit on other systems that are meant to help people find their power is sick and wrong. Because not everybody can just go pay for a magical system. He's a single man living by himself, not married, all the way in Australia for whatever reason, whether that's his passion or bliss, or he's a psychopath because they can't stay in one place for too long. They got to keep moving on. And I'm not saying that's the case. I'm just, maybe I am trying to make that the case. I don't fucking know. But the point is, he can go and buy and do whatever he wants. He doesn't have people beside him judging him. And it's easy for him to say, well, if your family judges you or doesn't want to give you the money to do magic, well, then just leave your family. Well, it's not that fucking easy. Not if you have responsibilities and you got to take care of people and you have to have a job until you figure out your passion so that you can pay for your responsibilities. Well, you can't just do those fucking things. You have to find ways around it. And there is enough information out there within my videos, within the people I promote on my videos, within the book I promote, that you can transform your entire fucking life for free. And I don't think he likes that. And I don't want to be the type of person who brings the age of information down by getting people to not pay for information. But there are basic things you need to start doing even before you start someone else's tradition, such as banish, reject, deny all the bad thoughts that come into your head, because they will play out. You will give them energy, they will be created, and they will fucking manifest within your life. And no matter whose system you pick up, that is useful. Okay, so if you don't want to do lesser banishing to help the other part of you that's in a different realm be free from anything evil or anything that can harm you, then that's your call. But that is a useful practice because that's exactly what it does. And I'm sure you can find variants of that in other systems. But the reason intellectualize, use their conscious mind that's been developed over many years to get us to where we are today, smart as fuck as a species. We developed this system because it's a great system that will help you on every fucking level. Now, you don't have to use the system. There's many other systems you can use if it's too complicated for certain people. If they can't understand it, if it's too hard for them, then they can do a simpler system. That option is there and work your way up. But I'm trying to tell people why these things work and why they're powerful and why it will help change your life. And I do it free of cost because I don't think I'm at the level to be able to charge people for teachings yet because I haven't been doing this long enough. That being said, I learn as I also speak and teach at the same time. And when I come across somebody who's dissing other systems, like a priest, like a pastor, like somebody who says, we have the way, if you're not our way, well, then you're not a human being and we have to kill you, which has happened in history. So that's my little spiel. I'm going to make a whole video about it, and it'll probably be my last video ever about Thunder Wizard, but that's all I wanted to say. Sigil magic, after you hear this testimonial, whether sigil magic is simple or let's say it even is too intellectual and too hard, maybe it is a harder process to do. If you can cure 3 out of 4 tumors in your dying grandfather with a simple sigil, I mean, that's even if you don't think it's simple. Well, I think it's a hella good risk, and it's damn worth the time. If you don't understand your spirituality, if you don't try to understand it at a conscious level and get it into the subconscious, well, then what the fuck are we doing this for? Anyways, let's get back to the show, shall we?
Healing stage 4 cancer with nothing but a sigil would certainly qualify. And if you'd like to learn the ins and outs of sigil magic, the Manifesting Reality program, complete course in sigil magic, is still on sale, but not for much longer. You'll only save 20% through this Friday, so get it while the getting is good. Once again, I'd like to thank Axiomata for this incredible testimony, for what is probably the best testimonial that we've heard. Your grandfather, all the best and blessings to you both. And I'd like to thank all of you for taking the time and joining me. And I'll see you next time.
All right, so before I get on to the rest of my show, I just want to follow up on that little intro I did for this part 2, like I said. And being someone who has the Manifesting Reality course by Frederick Xavier is definitely worth the fucking money. Now, the reason he made the joke about we're finally healing people instead of killing people is because, I don't know, I think it might have been a sigil, but I could be wrong. But someone was a friend of this grandmother who was taking care of her daughter's children. And her daughter and the father of the children were both heroin addicts. And she wanted her friend, the person who wrote into Frederick Xavier was the friend of that grandmother's. Well, she wanted for her to get custody of those children. And she did magic for it and forgot it. I'm pretty sure it was a sigil. But anyway, she did magic for it, forgot about it, and then those 2 people overdosed and died. And she sent a letter in asking if it was her that killed those people. And Frederick Xavier, it's a dark kind of, he's like, you totally killed those kids' parents. But then he breaks it down later. He's like, however, them staying with those 2 heroin addict parents, what kind of life would that have been for the kids? And what the odds of those 2 people getting clean, it's a very small percentage, but the odds of those 2 people getting clean, they likely would have did that anyways. So he's like, but this is why you bind down the action not wanted. This is why I use this transformation sigil when I'm not just doing one-way magic, meaning I'm either just banishing something or I'm either just invoking something. I break out the transformation sigil magic, you know, those symbols that Thunder Wizard was saying is intellectual, like fuck off. But anyways, and there is power in you using a dead language such as a rune, okay? If you have that, I have the rune alphabet, and I used to do sigils in it all the time. And the reason was I just started out, and it was advice from Birch, using a dead language. However, because I did sigils so often, and I can simply write things down in a consecrated book that is consecrated to bring stuff in my reality, that I don't even have to make sigils anymore. This is why I can just write on the candle now, and it happens. Can you just write on a candle right out of the gate during your initiation or not even to make something happen? Probably. But it's going to take a hell of a lot longer than me, and you may not write it down correctly without having training and getting these wisdom. The reason I ask for wisdom on Mercury days when I'm not asking for some type of healing, which receiving wisdom can be healing because you can receive healing wisdom. But anyways, is so that I keep learning how to fine tune my art. So once again, I don't want to say Thunder Wisdom is wrong for shitting on other traditions and then shit all over the Thunder Wisdom, but I'm not shitting on shamanism, animism, or syncretism. You know, being a syncretist, you think you would understand how synchronicity works through magic. But anyways, point is, I'm not trying to shit on him as a man. Okay, I think he's necessary. I think he's good, but he talks in paradoxes more than ever lately. And I didn't watch the whole video. It's a 2-hour long fucking video, question and answer, and I can already tell that he's going to be going back and forth from Western traditions, chaos magic, and Christianity being the problem with everybody learning magic today. And he doesn't want people to think that you can just say something once and manifest it. And that's purely true. That is true. But you also can't go out there and shit on the entire chaos magic, whether it's a community, it's a system, or whatever, when it fucking works, and it works well, and it's one of those things that help you expand other traditions. See, I have a part of chaos magic in my tradition that I do, in my own tradition that I created myself using other traditions. So my tradition is highly on the Golden Dawn system, which I believe was created using both subconscious, like channeling, like spirits and all that, and using the conscious mind to expand on those ideas while getting divine information, using your conscious mind and your subconscious mind at the same time, creating a fucking system. And I think that's the best kind of system, rather than using just an old system that the old people do and you don't change it anyway, which is not true. He changes things. He's said it many times that his type of Tai Chi and the things he does is a mix of Tao and all these other traditions. But, and I'm not saying he's wrong or he has nothing to offer. I think he does have something to offer. I just think anybody who goes around shitting on other fucking spiritualities or religions or whatever the case is, in the hopes to propel their religion or spirituality up so you buy their shit, is just the wrong way to go about it. And it's already what's one of the biggest problems with this world is everybody wants everybody to do what they're fucking doing. Everybody wants to say, I have the only way, follow me. He says that's what Jesus is doing. Well, he's doing the same fucking thing. And maybe he still has programming from when he was a Christian and go doing that shit. And that's not his fault. And I'm not blaming him. But just for me, it no longer serves me to watch his videos if I'm gonna listen to something that tells me my magic that already works isn't gonna work, or it's too hard, or it's not worth the time. That's not useful to put in my fucking brain. And to me, either he knows he's doing that intentionally to get people's magic to not work so they do his, or he doesn't know it, so he's just not as advanced as he says he is. And I think both of those aren't actually true, but there's been 2 times when I make a wizard video dissing him that I wasn't told to do it. I wasn't getting thought after thought after thought of how I can say this. Okay? So when that doesn't happen, it's me coming out here projecting onto him, and maybe it's he offended my programming and whatever the case is. But right now, what's happening is it's thought after thought after thought after thought of what he said in those 8 to 10 minutes that I watched is why it's so wrong and bad for you. And that's why I'm coming out here. And it's also why I said it's the last time I'm going to watch him, because I don't want to build a channel or make videos all around telling people why another YouTuber or spiritual teacher or guru is wrong. Because I think that's what's wrong with this community. I want to make people clearly understand that, and I may have done it in the past too, and I'm going to go forward and I'm going to try to never, ever shit on another magical system again, even if it is the Bible. If I think there's something useful in the Bible to take, I'll tell you. If I think there's something in the Bible that isn't useful or was there to program you, I will also tell you. But I'm not just going to say why these things are wrong, or, why have a video about why all these 3 out of these 4 magics that you're doing are wrong, or the long way, or too intellectual, and say that yours is the right way. You know what I mean? Like I said before, he doesn't want to give away all his secrets, but he's given away a lot of free information on his channel. So I'm not saying his way of magic doesn't work. Okay, and maybe I do in some times in a roundabout way say his magic doesn't work. But also within the first video, this first podcast rather, that I put on here, which the whole video is on YouTube without my added little intros and stops and all that, I said when it came to action that if you're trying to get something in the astral, action is part of the process. Thought, action, emotion equals manifestation to earth, right? The 4 parts of, the elements and elementals, and there's a part of spirit there as well, but that's when it comes to manifesting, you need the 3 to make the 4th. Okay. He preaches action, 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 the rest will follow, which for certain people with their chart a certain way, that's how they're going to have to do it. Okay, so he is there for a certain type of person. I just wish he would just focus on teaching those type of people the right way they need to do it, rather than shitting on other traditions. Because to me, that's just not good. It's not cool. It's not going to help anybody. If anything, everybody who's got a magical tradition out there, unless they're an absolute fucking fraud, which maybe that's why I'm doing this, I don't know. But unless they're an absolute fraud, we should just have each other's back. If we're teaching spirituality, then we should try to give concepts that we think can help all spiritualities, but at least help the people following our spirituality. Stop trying to tell everybody why not to do these other traditions, and tell them why they should just try doing the tradition that we did or a variant of it because it's changed our life. Focusing on the negative parts of other traditions is just silly. Just FYI. It's like, what is the intention of that? Why are you trying to do that? What is the purpose of trying to tell people that these things work? I've seen them work, but it's not as good as what I do. It's like, why? And I've said it before in a roundabout way, and I didn't say any names, but I made the comparison to the little yappy dog beside the big dog. The big dog knows he can destroy the little dog. The little dog's got to put on a big fucking show and make himself look tough, look better, and stronger, so the big dog doesn't fuck with him. But the big dog doesn't even bother because he knows it's just a bunch of fucking hot air. Well, if you didn't know, I was referring to the Thunder Wizard going out there and always talking up what he does and how he's got the right way, and when he did all these other systems, it didn't work, but when he did this, it worked just fine, and he's got the greatest way. It's like, if your system works so great, then teach the fucking thing. People will be drawn to you, and the system will teach itself. It'll bring people along itself. It doesn't need you as an advertiser or a fucking spokesperson for it. Or come out here and help people understand maybe the complicated parts within spirituality, or if there's something being taught in New Age that is wrong, then try to break it down and try to make it the right way, instead of just saying it's all wrong, it's not what you do, follow my system, buy my program, and you'll get it. He even made a video saying, you ever see those commercials that list all the symptoms and take this magic pill, and he's in a roundabout way, he says he doesn't believe in giving you a blue pill or red pill, but he says, hey, by the way, this will give you enlightenment. It's, I don't know, paradoxical, and it's starting to get to me. So I'm no longer I'm gonna stay subscribed to him because he has helped me, and maybe I will put it on YouTube and put the volume all the way down so to give him a view from time to time, because I don't believe it, and maybe I'll come back to it later on, but I don't think it's of benefit for me anymore to follow the Thunder Wizard. And, I said I might make a video on it, but I don't think that's going to be helpful either. So I'm probably just going to leave it as is. If I do make a video of it, I won't say Thunder Wizard because I don't think he listens to my podcast anyways. So he won't hear this. His fans might hear it, and they might, if they're fans of him and they were subscribed to me, they might drop me, and that's fine. I'm at 47 at the time of this video. So if you guys notice it goes down on YouTube, well, that's why. And it's all good. I'm trying to just say that if you do magics that he is dissing, well, by watching him, you're going to disempower yourself, because those magics work. And when it comes to picking a magical system, you have to go with what you resonate with, not with what someone else tells you is right. That's the Christian way. Christian way is like, yeah, okay, you might be prone to want to talk to your ancestors, or maybe you think tarot cards are cool, or maybe you think using a pendulum to answer questions, or maybe you think following astrology and learning about the planets and the energies in your body is cool, but that's wrong. Follow Jesus. Well, in the same way, he's saying the same thing, like, well, doing sigils and implanting a suggestion directly in your subconscious by making a little picture is too intellectually hard, guys. Don't do it. follow my three exercises a day program and you will get enlightenment. And you probably would. And I don't want to not say that, but I think anybody who comes out here and has to insult other spiritualities, okay? I mean, I think most spiritualities will tell you that Christianity probably isn't the way to go, and you have to remove that programming. However, there's a lot of New Agers that are also still Christian and whatnot because they haven't got rid of that programming and they're worried about what their family says. And that's okay. It's something they're going to have to deal with on their own time. And I've talked about it. He's talked about it. Everybody's talked about it. We all understand that. It's not necessarily shitting on Christianity per se. It's shitting on what it's become, or that's how I look at it. It's what it's become and what it does to people in the long run. But anybody coming out here taking other magical systems that are trying to be part of the counterculture to get rid of people being programmed by Christianity so we can start the newer generations off on a different spiritual system that empowers them rather than brings them down and makes them feel like a victim, okay? All these different spiritualities for people, because all people are different, is a good thing. I don't think I have the one way, and I don't think everybody should do what I do. I think people should maybe read the book I read if they can. And if it doesn't resonate with them, they can try one of the people I learned from. And if that still doesn't resonate with them, well, then my system and what I do is clearly not for them. And maybe somebody who's the polar opposite of me, maybe Thunder Wizard, is more for them. And that's somebody, and that's okay. We should have multiple ways for people to go as a counterculture option rather than Christianity. But for someone who is supposed to be a counterculture option that people can go to shit on all the other options for people is in scarcity. They're worried that people aren't going to pick them. Other people are going to pick the other systems for whatever reason. So they feel the need to come out like the yappy little barking dog and tell you why those systems are wrong. Yet, he clearly said in the first little bit, I don't know much about chaos magic. The little bit I read about it, not practiced, the little bit I read about it. So he never even practiced it. He read a little bit and he can make an assumption and a claim and project onto that idea to try to make you change your mind and pick his fucking system. That is scarcity. He is not in abundance. If he was in abundance, he wouldn't be worried about what people do. He would know there's enough value in what he teaches and online, and the people who've done it would be testimonials, and whatever the case was, he would have enough confidence in his own product that he wouldn't have the need to come out here and shit on other spiritualities. That is my honest to God opinion, and this is why I'm no longer watching somebody, because I don't want to be in scarcity. So I'm not going to watch someone who's in scarcity. You become the people you hang out with. You become the people you surround yourself with. And I'm no longer going to surround myself with someone like the Thunder Wizard who is in scarcity. So anyways, I'm going to get back to the show. But first, let's play this song that Frater Xavier said would be his intro. But he doesn't want the copyright claim, or probably pay Bruce Dickinson for it. But I don't care about copyright claims. So, The Magician, baby. And the part of the song to focus on is he says, throw the future in the runes. So there's power in the runes. But shaman or priest, it's all the same. The magician is my name. Now, how relevant is that to what I just said? That the person who was almost a priest going through the ministry became a shaman. Well, because he thinks shaman's not too far from what he was doing, and maybe it's still okay, and people won't judge him, and if there really is a Jesus, well, maybe he'll be okay. Well, shaman or priest, it's all the same. Fuck them both. The magician's my name.
Hello, Frater Xavier. Sorry for the length, but it's a good story. So I thought I'd share some positive feedback with you regarding a sigil you shared. I haven't really worked with sigils yet. I just purchased Manifesting Reality today. But when listening to your program, you reminded me that they work best when forgotten. Well, let me tell you. On one of your YouTube videos, you shared a sigil you've used for healing, and I took a screenshot of it for reference. Now, I've been manifesting my own reality my whole life, a knowledge I seem to have been born with.
and I've gotten pretty good at it, especially when done through meditation and repetition, kind of like what Bob Proctor talks about. But while I do get results, they often take long periods of time. So I decided sigil magic may be a great tool to get a better result. Here's the bad turned good news. Found out in November my dear grandfather, who is otherwise active and healthy, was diagnosed with stage 4 liver cancer. 3 inoperable tumors metastasized. In January, I took the screenshot of your sigil and decided I would take a few minutes and meditate on it, feeling the joy and gratitude of my grandfather being healed and healthy. I was truly overcome with emotion, tears and all, while meditating on the sigil. Then I let it go and totally forgot about it. All the steps that we've talked about on this channel. Focusing on your sigil or your candle or your water, whatever type of magic that you're doing. Focusing and visualizing the outcome of your intention while cranking up the emotions, feeling that gratitude, and at the end letting it all go. Putting it out of your mind completely. Following the law of least expectance. And she did all this, so what happened? Well, jump forward to last week, I learned that when my grandfather went back for further testing, not only could they not find cancer in any other part of his body, but 2 of the 3 tumors are gone. Gone! The remaining tumor is 100% operable, and once removed, he will be completely cancer-free. Just this week, they did a procedure to expand his liver so it will be able to accommodate the loss of mass when they remove the tumor. Isn't that amazing? That shouldn't even be possible. Stage 4, turning what should have been a death sentence into a complete healing. But wait, there's more. Also, 2 days before he was originally supposed to have the liver expanding procedure, he had a heart attack, which required a stent. It ended up being a minor procedure done while he was awake, but had he not had it when he did, he would have likely died on the table while getting the liver procedure. That heart attack basically saved his life. The liver procedure done this week was very successful, and my family is looking forward to many years with my grandfather. I'm confident the sigil played a part in his healing. Absolutely. I felt it to be so at the time. I've known he would be fine and make it through this, and it is so. Thank you for all you do. Feel free to share this story, though I know it's long. Blessed be Axiomata. And thank you, Axiomata. Thank you for sharing this incredible testimonial and experience with us. This may be the best one we've ever had. They'll tell you that this shouldn't be possible. I would have loved to see the look on the doctor's face when he discovered that most of the cancer was gone. An absolutely incredible story. You did everything right and it paid off big. Not only did you go through the steps as mentioned before, but you also declared your unwavering faith at the end. 100% absolute certainty that your grandfather would be okay. You had no room for doubt. We've talked about the importance of having faith on this channel before, and this has been an excellent reminder of it. For it is said that faith can move mountains. Your grandfather is fortunate to have you as his granddaughter, someone who now knows what to do. It's another case of magic making the seemingly impossible possible. And I've witnessed some pretty impossible things come to pass myself. It's when the miraculous happens that you will have absolutely no doubt that magic is real. Because most of the time when magic manifests, it happens in such a coincidental way that no matter how unlikely it may have been, there still may be some lingering doubt. That's not the case when you're performing miracles and healing stage 4 cancer. Now, I feel like I need to put up a disclaimer for those listening that your results may vary, because she has done everything right, including not being desperate for a result. She knew her grandfather would be healed and didn't linger on it. That is one of the toughest things to do when it comes to healing magic, at a time when people are desperate for a result. Remember, desperation magic is bad magic. So this is only a testimonial of what is possible when you do everything correctly. Also notice that her grandfather still went to the doctor. I wish I didn't have to say it, but magic is not a substitute for proper medical advice. Magic is an add-on option. You do it in addition to seeing your doctor. And this is a perfect example of that because he wasn't healed completely. There was still one tumor left that the doctor needed to deal with, but the magic allowed him to do so. So action supports the magic and magic supports the action. If it wasn't for the doctors and the procedure, he would still have it. Not to mention the stent for the heart attack. And this is why magic is an add-on to your health care. It's not a substitute for it. Okay? So yeah, this really made my day. I couldn't wait to share this testimonial with you because this is what I live for. We can now say that we're saving lives on this channel. Finally. We get to at least deduct one from our alleged kill count. It's often difficult to know exactly when you've saved someone with magic, but I think in this case, it's pretty obvious. I think that healing stage 4 cancer with nothing but a sigil would certainly qualify. And if you'd like to learn the ins and outs of sigil magic, the Manifesting Reality program, complete course in sigil magic, is still on sale, but not for much longer. You'll only save 20% through this Friday, so get it while the getting is good. Once again, I'd like to thank Axiomata for this incredible testimony, for what is probably the best testimonial that we've ever had. Thank you so much for sharing. I wish you and your grandfather all the best and blessings to you both. And I'd like to thank all.
Alright, well, I won't keep getting into why I'm not going to listen to Thunder Wizard and why he's in Scarcity and all that. But what I will play now is a little clip from the first part of the podcast. So what you were hearing just from me a while ago, before Freighter, was that I added to the second part of the podcast when my podcast went down. But I did a little ad-libbing to the first part of the podcast whenever I was talking about, which is in the video, my previous YouTube video, that's not my podcast video, about how we intuitively know salt and water is a magical thing. So we add salt to ice, it dissolves, and then I said salt baths, everybody knows, stressful day, sore muscles, whatever, to do that, and there's other ways, intuitive, whatever. So then I got into, salt for your throat, for killing infection on meat and all different ways. And then I talked about what I meant by the pee, the salt, adding salt to the toilet water that had pee left in it for my children to banish all disease, infection, illness, sickness, and why that is a type of magic that can work, because it's still a part of them until you flush it down the toilet and it's gone. But I mean, it's still technically a part of them somewhere else. And I used a story about a little girl who got a heart transplant and all that. So I'm gonna play that now for you. But the double slit experiment with a photon of light is also another good way to kind of tear apart. It's a science experiment was done in, I don't know if it was the 19 something early, maybe even earlier than that. And then it was redone before the year 2000, and again in the year 2000, same results every time. If you're not watching the photon of light, it'll go through the two slits. When you shoot a straight beam, not even at one of the slits, two slits are beside it, right? There's one here, photon of beam is where my nose is. When the scientists are watching it, hits the wall. When the scientists weren't watching it, it'd separate, go into the two things, and then reconnect on the other side. So that they wouldn't, actually that's what happened when they put a camera there. So the people weren't there, but for some reason the photon of light is, you should really look it up, the double slit experiment. So when they weren't watching, the photon of light would split, go through the two slits, and there'd be two marks on the other side. Like, what the hell? How is this possible? So they set up a camera, and what happened was the photon of light spread out into the two slits and then also came back together. So there was 3 different results to the same one experiment. Straight line, photon of light, supposed to hit the direct spot. People watching it, follow their lives. Anyway, so I'm gonna play that part now for you. That'll be the end of this video. And once again, it's no disrespect to the Thunder Wizard, but I want to be in abundance. I don't want to be in scarcity. And anybody who doesn't put value on their system and has to tear down other magical systems that are supposed to be part of this counterculture so that the new generations can get into magic and an empowering system rather than a victim mindset system like Christianity. Well, we should have all these different variants of it and give maybe constructive criticism rather than just tearing it apart. And I didn't watch the whole video. Maybe it wasn't that bad, but still, nonetheless, I'm not gonna watch something that disempowers me anymore. Keep that in mind when you're watching people that are attacking other systems. You might wanna choose to just watch testimonials of a system that does work. Anyways, that's enough for me. Have yourself a great fucking day. All right, sorry for a second. I'm just going to interject here one more time about the salt. Go back to the salt and water. Now I'm out live right now and not playing my recorded audio, but just another example of not necessarily intuitively knowing, but before freezers and different things like that, we would put our meats and things we need to preserve in salt and water to preserve them. Some people still do it to neutralize it. There's a lot of magical practitioners that will bury stuff in salt when they still buy it, especially for magical tools or anything you get from someone else to get people's energies off of it. But more than that, when it comes to healing and using salt and water to heal, well, I had my tongue pierced, and they told me to reduce infection, swoosh around in your mouth salt and water. Also, most people know that if you have a throat infection and it's not too bad and you don't want to use antibiotics, or if you use antibiotics plus you gargle salt in warm water, it kills the infection. So, and if you do a urine sample, if you are doing a drug test or whatever, well, within your urine has what drugs you've done. And also people that can tell what you've done. Same thing with your blood. This is why blood and urine are used in different types of magic, even though it's kind of yucky to think about. And it's not like I'm putting my finger in the fucking urine. Not even close. But point I'm trying to say is we know that salt and water can kill infections. And it's because it neutralizes it and brings it back to normal. We know intuitively the power of salt and water. There's nothing mysterious and magical about it. Now, necromancy, I think, and maybe some sorcery, depending on where you look. There's different definitions of it. And I know I've read some books where they say, and there's been proof of this with people. Like, for example, there was a little girl who received a heart, or maybe it was a male, but there was a little girl that passed away. She was killed, and no one found her murderer. This is a well-documented story. I think it's something that Jordan Peterson actually talked about, and I looked it up, and it turned out to be true. Well, they took this little girl's heart, and they implanted it into either a little boy or a male or some other human being. And this human being was having dreams of that murder. And they were able to solve that murder by interpreting and using that person's dreams. So that little girl who had that heart, who died with that heart, well, they still used that heart, put another human being, and there was memories, ideas, dreams, subconscious, whatever you want to call it. I don't understand it, so I can't interpret it. But what I can tell you is this is well documented. So there's something to be said about giving your blood for blood tests and giving it to people. Well, that's your blood, and it's still connected to your body. There's many tests done with atoms and, the, what's it called? The split tests or the something. They throw a fucking photon of light. And when no one's watching the photon of light will do whatever it wants. It'll go through the hole. If you're watching it, it's going to do what you think is normal. So the scientists figured out a long time ago that while they were watching the photon of light, it would act like a beam of light, following our laws of physics. When they weren't watching it and they were able to trick it by having a camera or something placed there that the photon didn't know it, because it has a consciousness, everything does, it would go, they made two slits and they would shoot it because the two slits were on both sides of the straight line where they were shooting the photon. When they were watching it, the photon would just hit the fucking wall. When they stopped watching it, it would go through the two beams, and they would see the evidence on the other side. So they placed a camera to record what was happening, and they saw the photon doing its own thing when their consciousness wasn't there. The more people they added to the project, the more they realized the consciousness of the people watching affected the photon. But if no one looked at the photon, then the photon would do something completely different. Well, this is related to your body. So you lose your arm or someone else has your arm or your blood or whatever the case is, it's still connected to you. And if you have that belief, and if you know that your urine came from your body, it left your body because it had to leave your body, it's getting rid of the old to make way for the new, you're getting new water in, so you get rid of the old water, but still connected to you. When you neutralize that before you flush it down the toilet, you're going to do yourself a whole world of good. Just as all I'm saying. And, like I said, we intuitively know these things already. Salt and water will heal your infection on your throat and swelling and all that.